Welcome again, everybody, to the Business Brains and the Bottom Line podcast. My name is Paul D'Allegro. I am your host, as usual, and my guest today is Michael Barbarita. He is the owner of Next Step CFO and the author of Powerful Business Strategies. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you, Paul. Pleasure to be here.
Well, first off, when we talked about this before, I like you got the Boston accent, which is very nice because that,
it's usually not considered nice, but that's all right.
Well, to me it is, because I grew up in Somerville, as I had mentioned before. So I'm an Eastern Mass guy myself, as are you. So it's always nice to hear a Boston accent. Makes my heart feel warm. Let's put it that way. Because I've been in Texas for 28 years now, and so it's when I hear the Boston accent, it almost does sound different to me because I live down here now,
That's right. Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah. But I'm enjoying it. So, well, again, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Yeah. So, Michael, you've been doing this a long time. You're kind of a consultant, I guess, coach. I'm not sure how you would want
it. You could say both.
Yeah.
You could say both. I'm more of a consultant on the CFO side and more of a coach on the strategic side.
Right. So, well, you've had your business for, I don't know,
17
years. Long time.
Right. Yep.
What got you started in this? How did you morph into your business? Because as you know, things transform over your lifetime, right? And how did you end up getting into this?
Well, I started out in business ownership primarily, owning a retail ski chain called Ski Town USA, and then I went into after I sold that business, I bought some cookie dough recipes from a husband and wife team, and sold a product called Cookies to Scoop frozen cookie dough. Then I sold that business to a distributor. To a frozen dessert distributor. And then I had a failure. I wanted to serve the aging population. So I started an outpatient rehabilitation facility called Freedom Therapy Center.
Okay.
And I learned a lot. It's funny. I was doing things correctly. And then when I went to Freedom Therapy, it's a little backwards. I was doing things correctly by implementing business and financial strategies that my competition wasn't doing for both Ski Town and Cookies to Scoop. But then I took stupid pills or something, because I did exactly what my competition was doing with Freedom Therapy Center. And so I failed miserably. I fell on my face. And, but I did learn two things. I learned that, number one, the toughest step to take in life is the step after the fall. And that's why I named my company Next Step CFO, by the way, because that was the next step for me.
Very nice. Very nice.
And then the other thing that I learned is you just can't keep doing what your competition is doing. You can't message the same way that they're doing. And I find that a lot of small business owners are doing exactly that.
Yeah.
They're having a hard time.
Yeah. So what would you say are the things that most businesses do, like every other Tom, Dick, and Harry does out there? And then the second part of that is, what do you do differently?
Okay. Well, I hope so marketing is what they all do. What I call I hope so marketing.
Okay.
And just so you know, I hope so marketing is there are certain phraseology that practically every business uses. 95% of businesses use things like largest selection, great service, we're honest, highest quality, we're the fastest, we're the largest in the state, we've been in business 210 years, we're insured. All those things the customer is saying, after you say those things, the customer is saying, I hope so.
Yeah, that's the bottom left. That's a low watermark, right?
Right. That's right. And so everybody's saying the same thing, and the customer is not even intrigued by it because they're saying, I hope so. I hope you're the most professional. I hope you're high quality. I wouldn't do business with somebody with low quality. I wouldn't do business with somebody who's unprofessional. I hope you have the best service. I wouldn't
Yeah.
do business with someone who doesn't. So it's not a differentiator at all. And
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I
Makes
hope so.
sense.
Yeah. So I hope so. Marketing is one of the more common things that are done in business today, and it's very poor messaging.
Yeah.
And so what we help business owners do to find it, what makes them different is we follow a formula called the conversion formula.
Yeah, I saw that. I got your book, by the way, and I skimmed it. I'm not going to lie to you
Yeah,
and said
no
I did.
problem.
I
Yeah,
didn't read it, but
yeah,
I
no
did
problem.
pick up. I saw that the conversion formula in there. What is that?
Okay, so the conversion formula is a formula. It's a four-step formula that converts prospects into customers or prospects into any conversion event. A conversion event could be going to a sales meeting, could be a presentation. That could be a conversion event.
Right.
Okay, and so the conversion formula is designed to get them to a conversion event. And that conversion event could be a sale, but it's designed to get them to a conversion event.
Right.
So, and it's a four-step process. And uh, what I found is I had to go all the way back to 1931, Paul, to find a statement that resonated with me and the conversion formula that still really resonates today with most people. And that is the key to successful marketing is you have to get into the mind of the prospect. Uh, but how do you do that? That's the $50 million question. So what the conversion formula does is it identifies, and people, and by the way, it also went on to say that people buy based on emotion and then back up that emotion logically.
Right.
Well, you're going to see the conversion formula do exactly that. Because what the two emotional issues, in order to get into the mind of the prospect, the two emotional issues are number one, the problem they have they don't want, and two, the solution they want they can't find. So those are the two emotional hot buttons, and they're the first two components of the conversion formula. We
Okay.
call it the captivate is the first component. That's the problem the customer has and doesn't want. It's also the headline that you show, the first thing out of your mouth when you explain what you do. And then second is the solution. We call it fascinate. So it's captivate and fascinate. And those first two components, that gets you into the mind of the prospect. And they're so critical that you get those first two components right. We call those first two components a position of market dominance because
Okay.
that is what separates you from everybody else. The third component of the conversion formula is the educate. The educate explains your solution. So it goes into more detail because when you captivate and fascinate, problem solution, now you have a little bit more time. You got their attention,
Right.
and you have a little
Exactly.
bit more time to educate them. And then you hit them with an offer now, which is the fourth part. But if a spouse was going to explain why they purchased something to another spouse, they would use the educate. Why? Well, as I told you, people buy based on emotion and back it up logically. Well, the first two components of the conversion formula, captivate, fascinate, problem, and solution, those are the emotional components. That gets you into the head of the prospect. The logical component is the educate. So when a spouse is talking to another spouse about why they bought something, they're using the educate, even though it was the emotional triggers that got them into it.
Got it.
Okay. And so, and then finally, the close, it has to be an offer that's so compelling that the prospect can't turn it down. And there are five components of a compelling offer that everybody needs to use at least one, preferably two or three of these components to make their offer the most compelling. And so the first component of a compelling offer is scarcity and urgency. So scarcity is I only have three left. Urgency is this offer ends on Friday. So you have urgency and scarcity. That's the first component of a compelling offer.
Okay. Making sense so far?
The second is a risk reversal, where the seller in the transaction takes most or all the risk. when I was in the ski business, and I'm going to be going back to where I was successful, not to where I failed, because I hope so marketing when I failed, by the way.
Right. But you learned, right?
I learned in reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. um, so when I was in the ski business, the problem the customer had was they never really knew if the ski they were being sold was the right ski for them until they got it up on the mountain and tried it out.
Right.
So what we did is we implemented what we called a ski guarantee. Ski the ski 3 times, you don't like it, bring it back for a brand new pair and keep bringing it back until we get it right. Now, my employees thought it was wacky because a couple of reasons. Number one, they didn't want to do all the extra work that they thought they were going to do with all the product coming back from the field.
Yep.
And second, they thought we were going to lose a ton of money on it. My mindset at the time was the customer only wants to have a great experience. And we are confident in our ability to sell them the right product. And if a customer came back without this guarantee, guess what we would do? We'd give them a new pair of skis.
Yeah, you do it anyway, right?
Right. So we might as well leverage our offer.
Right.
With the risk reversal.
I mean, that's such a great offer. I mean, the reality is if someone's looking for a new pair of skis, why wouldn't they buy them from you?
There you go. And that's why that's the compelling, yes. And that's where, right. And that's, like I said, that's where I was doing things correctly. That risk reversal was incredibly valuable. And the interesting thing about it, Paul, is we sold 8,000 pair of skis the first year we implemented, a 25% increase from the previous year.
Okay.
And only eight came back.
Yeah, pennies, right?
Oh, and then the next year we sold 11,000 pair and only 14 came back.
Yeah.
I mean.
So that you don't have to spend a lot of time on this. What do you do with the used skis? Just resell them as used skis?
We did that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But if they unless they were, broken or something, or the bindings were dangerous for whatever reason. Sometimes you couldn't sell them if the bindings didn't, meet specs.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that's the second component of a compelling offer. The third is adding more value to your product or service. So when I was in the frozen cookie dough business, the problem the customer had, and notice I always reference the problem the customer had. The problem the customer had is they didn't want to waste valuable oven space baking cookies. So what we did, and we understood a very important metric. We knew the long-term value of a customer, and we were confident in our product that once they bought it, they would reorder. So understanding the long-term value of a customer was $5,000, and an average opening order was somewhere between 50 and 100. We gave away, with the opening order, a free convection oven.
Oh, wow.
Which added more value, right, which cost more than the $50 to $100 opening order. But because we knew the long-term value of a customer, it was more than worth it for us. The convection oven cost about $250 to $300 at the time. And we gave them that free convection oven. It added more value to the product that we offered. And it was good as gold.
Again, why would they not buy from you if you're giving them an oven, right?
That's right. And they don't have to use their core oven. Like the pizza parlor didn't have, they wanted to use the oven to bake pizza. They didn't want to use it to bake cookies. Right. There was a big variance in temperature too. I mean, pizza's cooked at 700-800 degrees, and my cookies were at like 350.
Right.
But anyway, so that's the third component. The fourth is packaging and bundling. Interesting what we did in the ski business. Everybody in the ski business packaged skis, bindings, and poles. Everybody. But what we did, in addition to that, is we took the most popular ski graphics and we put together clothing packages to match those ski graphics. So we had a parka, a sweater, a hat, and a bib at discounted prices that we packaged together. We were the only ones packaging clothing, but we made sure that the graphics matched the clothing. The most popular ski graphics matched the clothing. So when they bought those skis, they were then
Oh, wow. This
incented.
is cool. Right.
Yeah, they were
Exactly.
then
Yeah.
incented to go to get the clothing that matched the skis.
Got it.
So that's the fourth component. The fifth component of a compelling offer is a little different than what I've been talking about. It's being indifferent to the outcome. If you are pressing to make a sale, the customer is going to know and the customer is going to perceive that you're out for yourself and not for them.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
you need to separate yourself from the outcome where you don't care if they don't buy. And there's ways to do that. And like, for example, one way quickly, one of the ways that I use is that whether you work with me or someone else, there's 5 steps that you must take in order to create a position of market dominance. So you notice how I said that? Whether you work with me or someone else. And so what that does, that shows that I am indifferent to the outcome. And I am
Right.
indifferent to the outcome because I know what I have and I know what the value that it has. And but I don't care if, in fact, I hope they buy for their sake, but I am indifferent and detached to the outcome.
Yeah. It's funny. I had an old sales manager who used to say that you got to be able to get up and walk from the table.
There you
Right.
go.
If you just keep giving, and they'll lose our respect for you, in my opinion.
Right.
So, and this guy was great at it too, by the way. He'd just get up in a meeting and, I mean, I'd be like, where the hell are you going? He's like, we're done.
Right. That's being indifferent. So
Yeah.
it's urgency and scarcity, risk reversal, adding more value to your product or service, packaging, bundling, and being indifferent to the outcome.
Nice. I like it.
So these are some of the ways that we show business owners how to finally make themselves different, how to finally communicate that difference. And so these are some of the ways that we do that.
No, that makes sense. It's funny. As you're going, I'm trying to relate everything you're saying to either my career or the company I'm working for now and all that good stuff. I remember early on in my career, it's fun. This is not great on me, but I remember early on in my career, I got on the phone with a prospect and, I'm spewing the same old rubbish that everyone else spews. And you know what he said to me?
No. What did he say?
You sound like the same as the last 25 guys that I spoke to. And it ties right into what you're saying, right? Like,
yeah.
We're wonderful. We're great. We offer this, that, the other thing. Well, yeah, I would hope so.
Right. That's it.
So, yeah.
I hope so.
That's funny. That's funny. So, well, obviously been doing this a long time, been very, very successful. And this is the sales side coming up. I mean, how do you get your customers? How do you go out? I mean, I'm thinking word of mouth is probably how you do it these days, but what's your strategy to acquire new business?
Well, I'm going to give away a couple things here that probably shouldn't, but one of the ways, one of the things that we do, in addition to networking, and getting word of mouth referrals, one of the things that we do is we do a book interview, and let me explain how that works. So,
okay,
because business is always changing, I mean, interest rates were different 2 years ago. You had COVID 5 years ago.
Right.
It's everything is different. Everything's changes.
Yep.
Business always changes, and you have to adapt. We keep writing additional additions to our book. And what we have is a chapter at the end of the book called "They Said It," and it allowed we interview small business owners, and if they have a quote, we put that quote in the book as long as they give us permission to do so.
So, and your book is a soft copy book, right? Do you sell hard copies of it, or
we do? Yes, we have hard copies as well, but it's mostly soft. It's because we give it away. It's mostly soft copy, but we do have hard copy available. But what's interesting is we keep we interview people because we want their industry perspective, not their business perspective, but the industry perspective. We know these strategies work, but we want to make sure that as times change in business, because business is always changing,
right.
that these strategies would still work in all industries. And so we interview business owners. And it's actually also part of our sales process.
Right.
So we interview the business owner in a safe place because they're talking to us about their industry. We take down any quotes that they give us. And then we ask them if they'd like to go to the next step, which is a business assessment, to which we'll provide them with an assessment. We'll show them a minimum of $50,000 in additional incremental revenue without spending any additional money on, with little or no additional money on marketing or advertising.
Yeah, that first assessment, is that a paid, engagement,
No.
or you kind of just?
No, that's a free service that we offer.
See, I agree with that, by the way, Michael, because we do a lot of that ourselves. Like there's a lot of companies that charge like lawyers, right? Every time you engage, they charge you an hourly rate. We don't do that. We kind of look at it as we're investing in you. We're willing to spend some time with you, give you a little, kind of educate you on what we can do, how we can provide services for you, and then hopefully build from that, right? I mean, you can't nickel and dime your customers.
Right. And we only send them to an assessment if they give us a good interview.
Right.
If they don't give us a good interview, we don't usually send them to an assessment. But here's the thing. In the interview, they'll learn business and financial strategies that their competition isn't doing. And if they want, they don't have to go to the assessment.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
Yeah.
No problem. But it's just something we offer them because if they give us a good interview, we like to give them something in return.
Yeah. And it gets back to your selling strategy of being indifferent, right? Just kind of
That's
like,
right.
Yeah, it's here. If you're not, we'll go our separate ways and be done.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't want that, obviously, but yeah, you can't act desperate. I mean, you touched on that earlier. I mean, people pick up on that. I mean,
yeah.
And never
the thing
works.
is that, and they pick up on it, but they also get a feeling that you're out for yourself and not for them, which is a big problem.
Yeah, and that's a great point, by the way. I think when the customers realize that we're here to help, we're here to make money, no question about it. But our primary goal is to help, because that's you got me thinking about the same sales manager I had years and years ago. He said to me once, just keep one thing in mind: if you take care of the customer's needs first, your needs will be taken care of in the end. And that's I've always kind of lived by that, right?
Excellent.
Yep.
That's excellent. It really is. Yeah.
So, that was probably 30, 40 years ago that I heard that line, and I kind of lived by it. You take care of the customer first. I think too many people get away from that. All they do is try to squeeze every last penny out of a deal. And the customers can sense that sometimes.
Right. The other thing we do business roundtables.
Okay.
Where we invite business owners once again to talk about we'll ask them questions about their industry so that we could get an industry perspective, so that we can get some additional input for our book for the next edition. And then if they give us good input during that, we offer the assessment as well for that.
Yep.
We do workshops where we show people how to do a position of market dominance and why it's important. So that's another thing that we do. We also we have a program called 90 Days to Fast Cash for those people who have cash flow problems. We can show them how to get cash fairly quickly and get the cash they need so they can continue to operate.
That always helps.
Yes. We do a lot of elevation model work as well, where we offer a low ticket product to a customer because there's a 34% chance that once a customer buys from you, that they'll buy something else.
Right.
So we have some low ticket offerings, stuff as low as $5 that we sell in order to hopefully upsell the person.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that we do to get business.
No, it all makes sense. I mean, it's all tying back to, I've said this a million times. Customers need to like you, trust you, and respect you. And that doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Right?
That's
they
right.
may initially like you, but again, they've got their guards up. Like you said, they're going to,
Oh yeah.
and and it's just that you can't force it. You just got to take time. And once you get I've always said, once you get to that point where the customer inherently trusts you, respects you, and likes you, then it becomes a lot easier because now you're on the same team.
Right.
Right.
I agree. Yep.
So
exactly.
well, cool. So I did pick up on one other thing I
Yeah.
wanted to mention before
Yeah.
you we go. You mentioned Tony Robbins in your forward. I happen to be a big Tony Robbins fan. Actually, I've been to several of
Wow.
his seminars.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
he
Yeah.
was awesome. Have you ever been to one of his seminars?
I have not had the pleasure.
Yeah,
I
he
have
was
not had the
awesome.
pleasure.
So he talks about, I forget, it's been a long time, but I think he talked about E to the third power, whatever it was, like empowering, entertaining, and educational, or something like that.
Yeah.
And his seminars were so much fun. I went to a 4-day one down in Reston, Virginia once, and I had a blast. I mean, I'm not like a disciple where I bow at his at his feet, but I thought he was just a very motivational guy. Really enjoyed the time I got to meet him, by the way.
Incredible skill he has.
Yeah.
Incredible skill.
He's huge, by the way.
I know. I could tell from even on, let's say, on a video, I could tell.
Yeah,
he's enormous.
I'm like 6'2", and he towered over me, and his hands were huge. I mean, just a big guy.
Yeah.
But
yes, he is.
But great guy. So I saw that. I figured I'd mention that. I haven't. I used to follow him a lot more. Now, not so much. But I always respected him. I thought thought everything he preached was just common sense. One of the things when he said, I think, most people fail because they never take the first step.
Yeah.
And the other one was, you got to take massive immediate action. Like, too many people just get paralyzed by fear and indecision, and they do nothing. He's like, you just got to take action.
Yeah, that's right. He's right. No, he's he's the man. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I think he's made a little bit of money. No,
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he's hurting. But at any rate, well,
do we have time for one more concept or no?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about an area that's neglected a lot by business owners, and it's called the buyer's journey.
Okay.
And the buyer goes through a predictable pathway on their way to a purchase, and a lot of people don't follow up. And so we found a couple of amazing things. Number one, the way the buyer journey works is somebody makes somebody aware of something. They might look it up on Google, or they just have some mild interest that ensues. And then they start to think about why they should buy this particular product or service. And this could be this could take anywhere between 15 minutes and 15 years or more, the buyer's journey. I recently got a client that I first contacted in 2008. So, just to give you an idea.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's the second step of the journey is, why should I buy? The third step is, why shouldn't I buy? What are the objections?
Right.
Okay. And then finally, when they finally counter all those or absolve themselves of those objections, then they're starting to think about, who should I buy from? And one of the ways, and it's not novel by any stretch of the imagination, but one of the ways that we always suggest is to use a drip campaign. And the reason is because what we found is it takes anywhere between 20 to 100 touch points to get a prospect interested. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
And what we found is that if you use the conversion formula while the prospect is on that journey, and the drip campaign is a very efficient way of doing that.
Yes.
You can reduce the touch points to somewhere between 5 to 12, 80% of the time.
Really?
So instead of 20 to 100, 80% of the time, you can reduce the touch points between 5 and 12 to get them to react, as long as you're using the conversion formula in the drip campaign.
Yeah. And that makes sense, right? You're kind of selling them along the way, right?
That's
Versus just saying, hey, we're wonderful.
That's exactly right. And so that's why we spend a lot of time with people on the buyer's journey, because the other thing we found in our research for the book, Paul, very interesting, is only 1 to 3% of people in any market at any time, at any moment, are ready to buy now. The other 97 to 99% of that market is on that journey.
Yeah.
Is on the buyer's journey.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes perfect sense to me.
Right. So everybody's going after that 1 to 3%. And that's why we ask our clients to start focusing on the 97 and 99% who are going to buy down the road.
Yeah.
And that are on the journey. So I wanted to throw that last point about how important the buyer's journey is.
No, that makes complete sense. I like it. So, well, Michael, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They would go to nextstepcfo.net. That's nextstepcfo.net. They could download a copy of the book. They could go to the contact page and just put whatever message they'd like. If they'd like to do a book interview, we'd love to interview them. We promise you that you'll learn business and financial strategies that your competition isn't doing. And so nextstepcfo.net/contact gets you directly to the contact page, to which you could ask a question. If you have a business problem, you can ask for a consultation with me. You could ask for a book interview where, we just get your industry perspective. And that's a great way of connecting with us.
Awesome. Well, Michael, I've really enjoyed it today. Always a pleasure to connect with a fellow Bostonian. We're a rare breed, as people down here tell me, down in Texas. So
that's right.
So, but hey, just a point of discussion here. We don't get snow much, but it's snowed the last couple. We got about 6 inches of snow here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, the city's basically shut down because they don't have plows.
Right. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. In Texas?
Yeah. I'm just north of Dallas, actually.
All right. Still.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. I mean, every couple of years we'll get a few inches, but we've gone 4 and 5 years without snow before. So
yeah,
but every once in a while we'll get it. But yeah, we got hit pretty good this time. But again, the problem is no one has plows, so it's just it'll warm up in a couple of days and the snow will disappear because that's Mother Nature taking care of it. But
absolutely.
So well, cool. All right, Michael. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I've enjoyed it, and when I'm up in the Boston area, we'll have to get together for a beer.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Well, that's a wrap for another edition of the Business Brains and the Bottom Line podcast. Paul Delegro. Until next time.